Hi, it's Bumble. Welcome back to my channel. So, I thought the next movie review I was going to do, because I did Animal Farm, and when I did that review, I mentioned there was another movie I wanted to watch called Four Weddings and a Funeral. I thought that was going to end up being my next movie review, but I went with Dog. I wrote Dog Show in my notes. No, it's called Best in Show. That's the name of the movie. It's from 2000. I went with this one because I've actually been using this as my meal movie for the week, which just means like when I've been eating a meal, that's like the only times I'm watching this movie. So I've been watching it for the past week, and it's been in like half an hour segments or so. I've been eating breakfast. I also had to kind of time it a bit because my dad was also interested in this movie. Not like before I watched it, but I put it on. He thought it was pretty funny, and I noticed he was paying attention. Sometimes we just watch movies like that, actually, where I'll have a movie as like my meal movie, and then he'll be already sitting doing stuff, and then we both kind of watch the movie that way. I've gone through like several movies like that. But yeah, this movie is actually pretty funny. It's kind of like a really slow pace, though. It's a mockumentary movie, um, just on these different dog owners, and they go to this dog show competition. But a lot of the movie is actually more about the owners than the dogs themselves, or about the actual show. It's kind of interesting that way. Like, it starts off, I actually was kind of like, okay, this is kind of going on for a bit long, but now that I've seen the whole thing, I'm like, okay, I kind of appreciate they took the time with it. Where the beginning of the movie is all of these interviews with the different dog owners, and I do like that throughout the movie they all get like plenty of screen time, because it's like all of these different people. There's like five different groups of people and dogs and stuff, which kind of sounds like a lot, but they all get these like short segments, throughout the movie. So I'm glad the screen time thing was handled well. Um, it didn't feel like out of. I guess the closest to like main characters, or the ones that seem like they get not a bit more attention, but could be seen as like the main characters, would probably be Eugene Levy and Catherine O'Hara's characters, and their little dog Winky. I kind of remember the names of the dogs a bit more than the owners. To be honest, I feel like the owners I was more interested than the dogs, but the dogs all had like like dog names and stuff. Like there's a dog, a poodle, that's called Rhapsody in White, for example. So I kind of remember the dog names better than the human names. Um, but yeah, they like those two could be considered like the closest movies to main characters, but I'd say that there really isn't a main character. But I like that. You're just kind of following around everyone, and probably as an audience like rooting for who you like best. And I think that's pretty nice. But I have different opinions on the couples and stuff. Like the one I just mentioned that has the little dog Winky. Um, they seem like the most kind of like um, trying to think of the right way. I guess like just middle class standard people you'd find anywhere. And then Rhapsody in White, the couple. Well, actually, they're not a couple. They do end up becoming a couple towards the end. There's, I think, Jane Lynch as the handler, and then oh gosh, I can't remember her name. She's in all of these like credit card commercials and in the Minecraft movie. It's like Jennifer something. I think I think like the um groomer and stuff for the dog, but they end up becoming a couple, which I was kind of surprised by because I actually didn't see it coming. Like I could tell one of them was like nervous about the other, but I thought it was just more in like a nervous about the dog show kind of way. Um, and then let me see what else. There's a gay couple that has this really small Shih Tzu. I really liked the two of them. There's this part where they have a phone call where they're talking to this other dog that they have that I guess got left at home, and they're in the hotel and they're singing to their dog on the phone like the same way you sing a child to sleep. That was pretty sweet, actually. There's this guy that has a sorry, my throat's a little yucky. That has a hound dog. He ends up running a fishing store. I liked his hound dog. I thought that dog was pretty cool. And then the couple that's in the middle, I didn't really wait. Yeah, I didn't really care for them. You get to see them at the beginning and the end of the movie. It's kind of interesting. The movie actually starts with that couple. They have like the first and last scene in the movie where they're at like a therapist office and they're talking about um, a person at their home seeing them have sex and freaking out, and they've been having all these marriage problems. And you think they're describing it like a small child, but it's actually their dog. And throughout the movie, they're arguing with each other. Um, and it's kind of almost stressful to watch because they're like yelling at each other, and it's just like, oof. I remember I skipped one of their little segments in the movie because it just got too much for me. But then it's kind of weird at the end. They end up fine, and they're talking about this new dog they have that like chills them out more, and they're having a happier life. They get like this little teeny pug. But then I kept thinking, what happened to your other dog? The other dog isn't the dog that they had for the dog show isn't seen or mentioned at all. Especially because they're the only group out of everyone that ends up getting disqualified anyway. So because they didn't train their dog or anything. So I don't know, but those were the only characters where I just didn't really enjoy watching them. Everyone else was fun though. Let me see. Other characters I'd like to talk about. There's these two announcers once the characters get to the dog show, because a lot of the movie is, well, the beginning is like these interviews if you're getting to know these couples and stuff, these groups of people, and then they end up going to travel to the location for the dog show and checking the hotel and all of that. So you get to see all of that, and then it's finally the dog show for the last like half an hour or so of the movie, which isn't too bad. It goes at like a pretty chill pace and stuff. But you get to meet other people along the way. Like there's this guy that is like the hotel manager of the hotel where all of these people end up staying at. He has his own little segment where it's just him in a cleaning closet of all things, and he's describing the different cleaning products that are used to take care of any accidents the dogs have. I think my favorite character in this actually was there's these two announcers, and one of them is very just like kind of stick to the script, focus on the actual dog show, and then there's this other guy that is just giving the most like bizarre commentary, where some of it isn't even on the dogs, some of it is just like um, asking the other announcer just random questions like how much he can like bench press or whatever. But like towards the start of the dog show, he's asking more like kind of dog related questions really, and I was thinking like if I was in this person's shoes and I was the announcer, you know what I would probably be, or just someone attending one of these dog shows. I would probably be asking and wondering some of these things myself, honestly. It's like really weird questions. But it was really funny, actually, especially because the other announcer doesn't even get to finish his sentences in response half the time. The person will be like, oh, do you think dogs from different countries have. They like bark differently, and the guy will be like, and then he gets interrupted by the other guy, so you don't even hear his responses. But that was funny. I think if it wasn't for that commentary, I wouldn't have enjoyed the actual like dog show segment that much. I just mean in the context of this being like a comedy. It's like a, yeah, kind of drama comedy a bit. And because it is just like a normal dog show, there's not really anything particularly funny that's happening within it. It's like the one sort of serious part of the movie. So having it be balanced out by this wacky announcer, I think is pretty fun, honestly. But I always like that for these kind of movies where it's like they have some just really weird person as an announcer. I think it makes it kind of fun. Kind of makes me think of like when I'm thinking of examples of that, of like the movie Dodgeball as well. Um, I don't think I've ever done a video on that actually. Like just rewatched it like a month ago. I might have to rewatch it and talk about that movie. That one's good. Um, might not be soon though. see what else. I actually don't have really. I have like barely any notes for this because I was just kind of watching it during meals. No, that's actually it. A lot of this I was just saying was actually just off the top of my head anyway. But yeah, I thought it was a funny movie. I liked it. You can tell it's definitely from 2000 because a lot of the hairstyles and stuff feel like very 90s and such. So it's always kind of fun to see. But I will say that the dog that I wanted to win did win, and I'm happy about that. Won't say which one in case you watch the movie. I know normally I give spoilers when I'm doing these movie reviews, but I think that's the one thing I will not spoil, so you'll have to see for yourself which dog wins. Alright, thanks for listening. Bye bye.